Full shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, just some social shit for everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I made this be myself, so hear me. Woo! I mean, like, we can pull that clown shit away. There's some real shit for you. I'm spazzing right now, so listen, let's go. Yeah. It's in their bones, the thugs in harmony for the love of the money. Then fall victim for the cookie, then turn pussy, it's lonely. You said you hold it down when life get rough, we're here now, so show me. We move them losses to them wins. Heavy pounds, we make it ends meet. Converts of only few who make me feel like I be 10 feet.
Oi, 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 oi. Hey, what is going on? Hey, madness. Liverpool, Manchester City. Hey, big games, man. Big game. You know what I'm saying? Biggest game in the country. You know what I mean? Two of the best teams of the last, 5-6 years. Yes, I know it's in the Premier League, it has been dominated 99% by Pep Guardiola and Manchester City because they've won, 4 titles in a row. But Liverpool have been there as well. Do you know what I mean? We're the only team in that last, we kind of broke up the sequence. Otherwise, they'd have 5 out of 5 titles right now. Yeah, I mean, they'd be sitting on going for their 6th title. They'd be going for 6 in a row if it wasn't for Liverpool. Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, United fans, you should be thanking us. It should be a namaste. It should be, you guys should be thanking Liverpool right now for not making this a Bundesliga kind of vibes, or not even Bundesliga, League Scottish Premier League, where it's just like you look at the thing and you're like, winners. Okay, well, the last 10 winners have been this one team. Like, what? Listen, thank Liverpool, man. Now, all jokes aside, listen, man, it's a massive, massive game. It's pitting, as I mentioned, 2 of the best teams in the country, man. 2 of the best teams in the country. And, you got the greatest manager, of my generation in Pep Guardiola up against the new Liverpool manager who's really making a name for himself at this moment in time, especially this season. With the way that Liverpool have been playing, with the way that Manchester City have been playing, you can tell it's going to be an absolute boring game and it's going to be 0-0 come the end of it. You can just see it's probably got that written all over it, man. But listen, man, guys, make sure you smash a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave your score predictions in the bloody comment section. Arne Slot, as I mentioned before, having a fantastic season. Absolutely fantastic. Cannot complain with Arne Slot. Even though he might complain himself, but he's been great. He has been really been great. First in the Premier League, as you can see, first in the Champions League, 2 points I think clear in the Champions League actually at the moment in time. And he's just been brilliant, man. Honestly, like, I don't think anybody realistic. I know, listen, I've seen some tweets and stuff. You know me, I've always got to call people out. I've seen some tweets, I've seen some messages, and I've seen some stuff. Some people are like, yeah, I always knew that, Liverpool were never going to fall up. Look, guys, listen, forget what's happening now. Recency bias will do that to you. Let me not say nobody, because there was maybe like 1 or 2 people that I saw out there. There was a small minority of individuals who were happy to get Arne Slot in as the manager. A very small. I'm not saying there was none, because they couldn't. I don't believe that there was none. I can believe that there was probably a few people out there, but there was a very small minority of individuals. Heck, I even believe the players didn't even really want Arne Slot like that. Not because they don't like him, they don't know him to like him. Just if you had to pick before when Jurgen Klopp announced that he was going to leave at the end of the season, if you had to pick managers, Arne Slot was not on many people's, like, it wasn't high up on many people's list. He might have been on your list. I'm not going to, disagree with anybody out there, but he was definitely not high of anybody's list. There was way too many managers out there. Xabi Alonso probably being the primary one. Then maybe Ruben Amorim. And then after that, it was just your own preference. I wanted De Zerbi as an example. Some people wanted, all these other kind of managers, other managers were even being talked about, Thomas Frank and all these kind of guys, man. Julian Nagelsmann, and it was mad. It was mad. Hansi Flick and etc. etc. So when people try to sit and be like, yeah, guys, you should have just had faith. Had faith in what? We've been 8 years with the same guy. You know what I mean? And the same guy did that. You know what I mean? And this manager Slot, no matter what, isn't as good as a Jurgen Klopp. You get what I'm trying to say? So if he's not as good, yet anyway, I'm not saying he can't surpass him or anything. Just as of today, I wouldn't put Arne Slot ahead of Jurgen Klopp in any capacity. So if that's the case, then why would we have that level of faith? It just, sometimes I just feel like people just want to say things because it makes them seem cool. It makes them seem like there's some real fan and, oh, yeah, I'll bleed for the club. Bro, you do not get paid by the club. You do not play for the club. It is not that deep. just shut up and just keep doing what you're doing, which is supporting the football club, when they have games. Outside of that, just keep quiet. I don't want to hear it. But that's that in itself. Like I said, in my opinion, he surprised 95% of people. Like, if you're in the 5%, great, good for you. Maybe we need to get the lottery numbers off of you. But for me, he surprised me 1,000,000%. 1,000,000. I did not think Liverpool would be in this position at all. Third, I thought at best. To be fair, I didn't think that, Man City and Arsenal would have dropped off in the way that they have, especially Manchester City. I did not think that they would be here. So it was more that than anything. Maybe I could have seen the fact that we would win most of these games, or I expect us to win most of these games. But I didn't think that Manchester City would be losing so many games in a row, and just not off the pace as much as they are. So listen, it's a testament to Arne Slot, though. I have to big him up. I have to, give him his flowers, kind of thing, because he's done his thing up until this point. He really, really has done well. Obviously, it's one of those, just don't drop off crazy. You know what I mean? Like, Liverpool first now by 8 points. But if you don't win the league now, then it starts looking a bit shaky. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, then all of a sudden, Liverpool fans can't show their head for a little while. Obviously, to the game in itself. Listen, look. Liverpool and Manchester City have scored a lot of goals this season. Liverpool's only outdoing Man City by 2, which is good in itself, And it's crazy because we've actually got more scorers. So the fact that they're, only 2 behind is kind of mad. But when you look at the goals conceded, Liverpool 8, Manchester City 17 goals. They've conceded more goals than we have played by quite a bit. And that's where their problem obviously lies. That first 15 minutes of games, they are conceding quite a few goals. You can see there 5 goals they've conceded so far in that first 15 minutes of games. And to be honest, in the first half an hour, they're conceding 9 goals. So that's kind of telling me if Liverpool can start fast, that might be something to kind of look at. I'll be honest with you. That really would. And you can see here, Liverpool concede most of their goals after half time. So yeah, very interesting. Very, 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 like, that in itself is actually very, very interesting. I didn't really look at it like that. If we start fast, we could have a really good game. But if the score is still 0-0 and stuff like that, we then got to be careful after that half time, because that's when we're conceding most of our goals anyway. But listen, it is what it is. And, we'll just have to kind of wait and potentially get there and see kind of what happens. As I mentioned before, look, we're 8 points ahead at this moment in time. We can go 11 clear, of Manchester City, which I can only imagine after this week's games, or this weekend's round of games, this will then knock them third, fourth, who knows, at this point in time. So City know they need a win. Pep Guardiola knows he needs a win. He really, really knows he needs a win. So we'll talk about that in a sec anyway. Obviously, in terms of news for Liverpool, obviously the news has obviously broken out last couple of days that Konate will obviously be missing for this game. I know a lot of people were getting onto Endrick. I didn't feel like it was Hendrick's fault. Like, it was really Konate and Van Dijk's own doing that Konate's then kind of ended up injured. This blaming Endrick thing, I was like, I don't really get it. When, like, look at him in comparison to the 2 players there. If he had kicked, Konate and that happened, obviously, of course, then you're like, bro, what are you doing? Guys, the guy was literally sandwiched in between the 2 players, trying to go for the ball. But Van Dijk's obviously tried to do the muscle thing into Endrick. Endrick's obviously in between him and Konate. It's just so happened they've collided. So guys, can we please stop this woe is me shit? At the end of the day, blame Van Dijk, blame Konate for being in that position in the first place. You prevented a goal potentially, but you got injured, at the end of it. So this blaming Endrick thing, it's kind of corny and cringe, man. I don't really understand it. Like, it's weird. It's kind of weird to me. And I saw some of the racial comments that I've seen also, whether that was real or not, but I've seen them. I hope it's not real. I hope that was just doctored and stuff like that. But if so, this is how I know. Come on, man. Like, that's, like I said, it's corny behavior. It's real corny behavior. I don't really like all of that kind of stuff. I couldn't really care less, injured or not injured. You know what I mean? The racial, I don't care if he's injured. That doesn't give you any right to then, you know what I mean, racially abuse the guy. Like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, that's silly stuff, man. That's silly stuff. But listen, man, I don't want to focus on that, too much. These are the games he could potentially miss, with his injury. So obviously the City game in the weekend, Newcastle away, Everton away, Girona away, Fulham at home, Southampton away, Tottenham away, Leicester at home, West Ham away, Man United potential return. But if not, he misses that game, at home. It's a lot of games. And this is, every period is a tough period, because there's always going to be 1 or 2 teams in there that are going to be difficult to play against, right? But regardless, it's still it's an important period. Just because obviously I haven't got the dates here for when these games are, but these games do come relatively quick. They're not like we've got a week between every game. It is maybe every 2 to 3 days that we're going to be playing between now and the end of the year. So yeah, man, for him to be missing throughout this kind of period, this is where you're looking at the other defenders now. You know what I mean? You're looking at the Joe Gomez. You're looking at the Jarrell Kwanzas and that. Who's going to partner Virgil van Dijk? Who would you guys partner Virgil van Dijk with for this game? Especially also as well, I believe Bradley. I believe he's injured. I haven't really seen anything too tough because everyone's been so hyper focused on on the Kanate thing. I haven't actually seen anything. So when I show you guys my lineup, it doesn't include Bradley because to my knowledge, he's not available for the game. I don't know if he will be. By the time this video is posted out, who knows? He could be fit. I don't really know. I didn't really see anything, outside of that. But yeah, I mean, you listen. Everyone's trying to do the copium thing. I'm not saying that whether Gomez or Kwanzaa partners Virgil van Dijk. To me, it doesn't really matter. Either of them could potentially have really, really good games throughout this kind of period. They could be really, really vital for us, or they can absolutely stink the shit up. And it just looks completely awful. We don't know until it actually comes. We don't know. Obviously, we've got evidence, and I mean, people say we've got evidence. This is all 4 years ago that we're talking about when Gomez was younger, before both of their mad kind of injuries that they both kind of suffered since then, even though Gomez has been suffering injuries. This is when Gomez was, in my opinion, in his prime. This was the best Joe Gomez I've ever seen anyway for Liverpool. Hasn't been able to hit those heights. Obviously, injuries have obviously hampered that, but he hasn't been able to get back to that, kind of quality. And to be honest, it's kind of obvious because now we've got Kanate and you're not even thinking about Joe Gomez, as a starter in that defense. Whereas before that was unheard of. We were probably looking at signing players to rotate with someone like a Joe Gomez, kind of thing. And unfortunately, we're not, at that stage. Jarrell Kwanzaa showed it glimpses last season that he's a very capable defender. Whether this is one of those games that you trust him in, I don't really know how the manager kind of sees it. This season, obviously, in the games that he has played, hasn't played well. Obviously, the first game of the season, I remember the game against, I think it was Brighton. Was it one of the cup games? Might have been Brighton or another team. But yeah, one of the cup games, not really good. So hasn't had a good season in the games that he has played. Been out of rhythm, hasn't really played. So I do envisage that Joe Gomez would be the one, to actually play in this game, as opposed to throwing in, someone like Jarrell Kwanzaa. And obviously, you guys can see the injury list here. So obviously, it does say here, look, Alisson Becker, Conor Bradley, Diogo Jota, Chiesa, Kanate now, and Kostas Tsimikas. Manchester City obviously missing Doku, Kovacic, Oscar Bob, and Rodri. So yeah, we've got 2 more injuries than they do. I mean, the biggest one on both lists is probably Rodri. To be honest with you, he's probably the biggest miss for either team. Just looking now, Kovacic maybe as well, especially with the midfield that they've got at this current moment in time. Yeah, he'd be a bit of a massive miss. I didn't even realize that Doku had been injured, this kind of whole time. So yeah, man, it's a bit of a tricky one for Manchester City. I can't really lie. Like when I look at, if you make your screen bigger, you'll be able to see it. If you look at like the predicted lineup for Manchester City, I mean, obviously saying Doku potentially might play, so who knows, he might actually be fit for this game. Vardio, Diaz, is Diaz going to be available? He's been, in and out with injury and stuff like that. Akanji, I mean, they're missing Ake as well. I would like to see Ake. I haven't seen him for a little while now. Rico Lewis is in there. Phil Foden, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Savinho, Haaland, and potentially Doku. Listen, that team in itself, on their day, is probably still better than most teams anyway. And that's a team that could potentially beat Liverpool. But they haven't been on their day. That's been their problem. That's been their major problem, is that they haven't really been on their day for such a long time. And it's now obviously 6 games now without a victory. Obviously, their last game coming up against Feyenoord, 3-0 up to then draw 3-3. I mean, we all saw the scratches on Pep's face. I mean, I'd be scratching my head too. You know what I mean? Because it just doesn't really make any sense that they've found themselves in this kind of position where it just looks like it's just going to kind of shit, if I'm being 100%, honest with you. And it's crazy. I said this before. I'll say it again. I don't really care. I want Liverpool to win the league, and I'll take a league victory anyway, anyhow. Whether it's a stinky one, whether it's a hard-fought one, whatever. I'll just take it because I'm not in the luxury position of being able to choose when I can get titles, because we don't win many. You know, we don't win any, to be honest with you, bar one. You know, in the last like 30 years. So there is that kind of aspect. But on the flip side, it's just always coincidental that it would be Liverpool, because it was Liverpool last time. When Man City fall off, it's always Liverpool who are able to then, you know, capitalize, you know, into that kind of effect. So if we're able to capitalize again, and this is the way that we have to, you know, keep getting our titles, then I guess, you know, eventually it will just become the norm. When City fall off, just expect Liverpool to win it. If City don't fall off, maybe don't expect Liverpool to win it, because we're not going to win it. So, you know, it's going to be City, you know, kind of thing. It's such a weird one, man. Really, really such a weird one. It would be nice if City were actually on it and we were really battling for the title. Do you know what I mean? Instead of this, whatever the hell this is at this moment in time. Obviously, this is the last battles that we've had. Jesus Christ. 1-1. So both of the games last season was 1-1. Before that, City slapped us 4-1. We beat them 1-0 at our place. Drew 2-2 before that. Again 2-2. It slapped us 4-1, 1-1, 4-0, 3. Yo, City they've had fun with us in the last 3 games. Can't lie. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In 10 games, in the last 10 matches, City have won 1, 2, 3. Oh, only 3 times. Liverpool have won 1, 2. So 3, 3 and 2, and the rest have been draws. So 5 draws. Other than when we beat them, obviously 3-1, and they've slapped us 4-1. I'm trying to like predict what like a scoreline would look like. It's difficult because when you look at it, it's like the most goals you'll see is 5, obviously. Don't know what it's. You know what? It's very, very difficult. If all you guys who bet out there don't really know, because we've never in any of these we've never seen Man City this bad. So maybe that 1920 season, maybe then. And even then, I mean, I know we would already won the league, and people say it doesn't matter, but they still beat us 4-0 in the return leg anyway. Maybe there will be goals. Maybe there will be goals, man. But yeah, like I said, for Manchester City, it's just weird. It's just honestly, it's such a weird time to face them. And listen, all you want is just the 3 points ultimately. And I know performances. We're going to analyze the game anyway, come the end of it. So we'll analyze it when we get there. Once the game is done, and we analyze it and we kind of move on. But ultimately, the goal is we want to get the 3 points. However, you get the 3 points is irrelevant. I see. Well, not even I see, but I've heard murmurs anywhere. You know, people talking about the sustainability of the way that Liverpool play and stuff like that. And I do think that's a fair argument. I know, obviously, the way that Liverpool are playing now is, you know, we've got a lot more controlling games and stuff like that, which I think is obviously a basis for us to be able to move forward. I think what's, in my opinion, just my opinion, the way I'm looking at it now is just, people always say, yes, you need to win certain games ugly and stuff like that. I think people memories start to fade. You know, as we get a bit older, you know, we'll get into our old age and that our memories, you know, they do start to fade a little bit. We seem to forget quite a few things. If you go back to look at certain teams, their seasons and stuff like that. So whether that be Chelsea under Jose Mourinho in that first season, Sir Alex Ferguson in the many seasons, Guardiola in some of the seasons. Obviously, we've only played 12 games, right? So we need to, I guess, wait until the 38th game to really have a bigger sample size. This season reminds me a lot of last season. And the reason why I say that is it reminds me a lot of last season, but I do feel that we will do better than that. What that means, I have no idea. At this moment, I haven't got a clue what you know, which way it's going. I haven't got Liverpool favourites for the title, obviously, just by sheer the matter of points. Whether we do it, I'm not 100% sure on that just yet. I would need to wait until I can confirm that for myself in my heart of hearts, when I can really then start saying, these lot going to win the title. I can feel it. At the moment, I don't really have that feeling just yet. But again, it's only 12 games, so I'll probably get it later on, regardless of the performances, right? But it just feels that in a lot of these performances, as much as in the games at times, yes, there's a level of control, there is a little bit of a can you keep doing this though? Because people keep thinking, as I mentioned before about the memory thing, I feel like people keep thinking that every title winning team that they've seen, whether it's Fergie, Mourinho, Pep, They've had bare games across the season where it's been scrappy 1-0 or a scrappy game, so to speak. It wasn't really like that from what I can remember. It weren't really like, if you go back and probably even watch the individual, it wasn't really like that. They didn't really do that, to be honest with you. It wasn't really that kind of vibe. Like, you'd have a few, of course you do. But it feels like with Liverpool, we're having quite a lot of those. And we're only 12 games in. And I feel like we've had quite a lot of those games where I'm like, eesh, fucking hell, eesh, damn, oof, just got there, eesh, Southampton, oof. You know, I feel like we're having a lot of those kind of games. So when you're having a lot of those games, the sustainability will obviously come into question, because then it kicks in later on in the season. Just like I said last season was going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen this season, by the way, because I do think with Arne Slot, it could be a little bit different. And I reckon I'll potentially see that game week 18, 19, whatever it is kind of thing. Obviously, we'll see where we're at by that point. But it does give me those kind of similarities. As I said before, we control games better and all this kind of stuff, and all the tacticos, they'll probably show you all the freaking diagrams and all this kind of stuff. Yes, 100%, not even going to disagree with any of those. But those elements are still there. And I think you'd be lying to yourself if you didn't think that they were actually still there. There is a question over that sustainability in terms of the level of performances that we do put into some of these games. As I mentioned, it's not many games that we're doing it. It's not bare games, but there are a few games I am looking at and I'm like, eesh, eesh, eesh. You know what I'm saying? There's more good games than bad games, I'll tell you that much. But it's not as big as the gap is. Obviously, last season, I felt like there was more bad games than good games. We were just getting lucky. I'll be honest. I just felt like it was just a lucky kind of period. And to be honest, we kind of got what we deserved come the end of last season, to be honest with you. We weren't good enough to win the league. We didn't deserve to win a lot of those matches, and we deservedly so didn't win the league. This season, though, we have been super consistent so far. Can that continue? I don't know. I really, really don't know. Like I said, for me, and you guys know me, I'm a tough cookie to crack. Do you know what I mean? I'm a tough nut to crack. Pause. Yeah, it will come. It will come. Like I said, it'll probably just be just because, as I said, City falling off so far, it might just naturally be a thing of just, yeah, well, you know what? They're so far behind. I don't envisage Liverpool dropping off so badly that they can't push out and just go and, win this league kind of thing. So that's kind of where my head is at, when I think about Liverpool at the moment. But just in regards to this game, it's going to be a blockbuster. It's going to be a blockbuster, I think. This is obviously my lineup for the game. As I mentioned before, obviously Connor Brad's CB. He, I don't know what his fitness is like, so I've kind of left it. You can kind of see, obviously, there's probably a couple of surprises in there, in terms of players and positions. Obviously, backline, I've gone with Robbo. I think Tsimikas is probably still out. Virgil, gone with Gomez. Trent, I believe, is fit for the game. No, I hope so, because otherwise we're pissed if he isn't, because then you got to pay Gomez at right back and Kwanzaa at the back. I don't know how that looks. In the midfield, so obviously you guys already know I fucks with Szoboszlai. He is my guy. I do think he will come back better and in better form. But right now he's just out of form, and you've got players who are in form. So I just say play the ones who are in form right now, and then you can take it from there. So I would go with a Jones and Gravenberch. I really shouldn't have put the positions like this, because I don't think it's going to be like this in terms of just in the pivot. I think it'll be more Gravenberch, a bit like he was against Real Madrid, kind of the lone six in there. And then Jones will drop in, or McAllister could potentially drop in, every now and again. But I want McAllister playing further up. I think this experiment with McAllister for me has had him have a average season at this moment in time, and I think he could be a lot better further forward. I think that's always been his position. Last season we saw when he was in the 6, I thought he was shit. He moved into that 10 position. All of a sudden, you saw McAllister. You saw what he was good at. This season, then we put him into the double pivot. Yes, defensively at times, really, really good. Does, a lot of the work, but we're not really seeing the best of him. And that was always bugging me. And I always felt like you don't necessarily, I guess, maybe waiting for Jones to get back, or Elliott, or whoever, maybe, and Szoboszlai not doing his job. Maybe that all of these things that I guess they all compiled together, and it can go one of two ways, right? But I just think after, seeing him the way that he played against Real Madrid, I just feel like we see that when he's in that position, though. We see that all the time. So why not just play him there? And that's why, I've obviously gone with him in that 10 position. Salah. Obviously I've gone with Gakpo out there on the left, because I wanted to go with Nunez. I wanted to go with Diaz, up front. Nunez, I mean, yeah, I don't feel like we need Nunez, to be honest. He's not offering me anything that I need, if I'm being super honest with you. From a tactical standpoint or whatever, I really don't see what the hell he's actually offering me. I mean, hey, he's running around quite a lot, so fairs to him, you know, in that kind of regards. But that whole chaos thing, that whole, you know, being a threat, he definitely does not exhibit that at all this season. Doesn't look scary in any way, shape, or form. So I don't see the need in terms of starting him. Very good bench player though, very good. Someone I'd definitely bring up, you know, off the bench if things ain't working, you know, in terms of the attack. Definitely bring him off the bench. Whether pairing with someone up top or play him, you know, instead of someone, take someone off, whatever. Definitely think in this game he should be a bench player. And then yeah, Luis Diaz. I think it really did work that time against who'd you call it, Bayern Leverkusen. And I think in this kind of game, City might try and overload that middle. You know, with Rico Lewis tucking in, Vardio potentially. You know, I just think that might be an area that we may just need to guard a little bit. To be honest with you, especially also in wide areas too. Vardio will either cut in or either go out wide. Rico Lewis will do the same thing. You know, they'll have players in that middle of the park, which might just cause us a bit of a problem going the other way. So yeah, I've gone with that 11. Let me know, of course, what you guys think of that. Score prediction. I'll go with 2-1 Liverpool. I'll go 2-1 Liverpool. I think it will be a tight game. No, I think tight game. Yeah. I think that Man City will have a better performance than they've showed in recent weeks, but it might just be not enough to get through a team that's in really, really good form, kind of thing. You know, I just don't see how they're going to be able to beat us. But would I be surprised? Hell no. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna go with 2-1 in terms of my scoreline. Don't really know scorers. I don't know. I'll just say Salah for both of them. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. People, score lines, let me know. Predictions for predicted lineup, should I say, sorry. Let me know all of that good stuff in the comment section, people. And we'll catch you for the match reaction. Peace.